When you're researching a new show or a movie, or if you're just looking something up that you already know, one of the first things that will always pop up when you search it is the poster for that respective movie or season. And first impressions mean absolutely everything, so if the poster for a new movie or a new show is not exactly good, it will definitely give you an impression on what you're looking into, and Ninjago is no different to that. We have had plenty of Ninjago posters over the course of time, and each season has what is considered a main poster. And I do find it really interesting, so for this video I'm going to rank the main poster for each season of Ninjago. This does not include the movie, and this does not include any alternative posters. This is what's classed as the main poster if you look at the Ninjago wiki. So if you think I have the incorrect one for any reason, take it up with them. And as always, if you do want to do this ranking for yourself and you want to show me what you have got in comparison to mine, please send it over to me on Blue Sky, because I always love seeing every single one that comes across my notifications. Honestly, I do like to see the opinions that everyone has when it comes to Ninjago, so I would love to know what yours is as well. But let me not waste any more of your time, and let's get into the ranking. And if you are familiar at all with what I usually do when it comes to my rankings, this is the criteria that I usually set. Best, great, good, okay, and bad. I think it's the best way to articulate the tier when it comes to any sort of thing that I am ranking, because you never really need more than one if something's bad. If it's bad, it is just simply that. So this is what it's going to be. Also, the Zane ranking is coming soon. But of course, the first one is going to be the pilot poster. And I'm going to be honest, I have different opinions on this one every time I look at it. As it stands, it's only good. Fair warning, I'm going to get really nitpicky with some of these posters, so I might get a little bit of hate depending, but as much as I do like the pilot poster, and I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it, my main issue is that there's two Kais. I don't know why, but it is so distracting to see that there's a big Kai and a little Kai. Of course, it's meant to represent two different things, but at the same time, for some reason, every time I look at it, I can't look away from the fact that there is two of Kai. I honestly feel like that space could have been used for something more. We could have had Garmadon there, we could have had, say, the Skulkin. There could have been a lot more used for that bigger space, but instead we just get a second one of Kai. Of course, again, he is the main character, so I do completely get it, but I do just think it would have been better if just something else was put there, because it just makes the poster very red. The second one is then the Season 1 poster for Rise of the Snakes, and honestly, this was a really big upgrade in comparison to this one. I think this one's really cool, showing off Lloyd. Lloyd's up front and center. He does have the weapon that we never got to see in the show, but you will see that happens quite later on down the line as well. But we get to see all the ninja in their NRG look, we get to see the Serpentine. I honestly think this, for the most part, has everything you kind of want in a Ninjago poster. So, I'm going to be honest with you, it's going to be best. I just think it has the perfect blend of both showing off the ninja, showing off the team, showing off the green ninja, which is at the forefront of the season, and then showing off the Serpentine. And of course, representing then with the Fang Blade. I do think that's really nice to see. It shows that there is something that they're after. Again, very nitpicky. I wish there were 4 of them, but at the same time, I do just like that the Fang Blade also did get a representation. And not to mention the Great Devourer in the background, I do think that was an amazing touch, and some of the later on posters do this exact same thing, and it's also the reason why I like it. So yeah, it has to be best. It kind of just has everything I want in a Ninjago poster. Third up is then the final battle poster, or Season 2, and I have to say as well, it is very good. It is very similar in vein to the Season 1 poster, but I will say, it kind of just does a couple different bits and pieces worse than the Season 1 poster, and for that reason, I'm going to have to put it in great. I do think it does what you would expect from it for the most part regardless. I do think it still represents the ninja quite nicely. I don't really understand why they gave them their golden weapons, but that's something else entirely. But I like seeing the Temple of Light, I like seeing Golden Lloyd, I like seeing all those nice little aspects, and the nice representation of the Stone Army is also quite nice. Again, this is extremely nitpicky. Kozu and Garmadon should have been flipped over in this poster. Kozu should have been on Garmadon, and Garmadon should have been up at the forefront. Remember, this was the poster for apparently the final season of the show by all accounts. So you would expect Garmadon to be at the forefront, because this would have marked at least the first time Garmadon was at the front of a Ninjago main poster. I just don't really get why Kozu was put in front of him. But again, that is extremely nitpicky, and it's still in great anyways. But don't worry, this is where I'm going to become a little more negative, because we're now onto the rebooted poster, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't like it at all. This was just the first poster I just never really cared for. I mean, all the ninja before now have been all up front together as a team, whereas in this one they were much more separated, which is fine because it's a mid-fight scene, but at the same time, even though Zane, Cole, and Jay are all up front and you can actually see them, Kai and Lloyd are barely even in this poster, to the point where I actually didn't even realize Lloyd was in the poster. And again, there's just a lot of Season 3 characters missing. There's no Wu Garmadon, there's no Pythor, there's no Overlord, there's no Pixel. There's a lot of missing people from this one, and also, I feel like New Ninjago City is kind of being misrepresented in this shot. There's a lot of colour and warmth, whereas New Ninjago City was honestly quite cold. So, I don't really like this poster. It feels almost like a misrepresentation in a lot of different ways, and I feel like a lot of people might disagree with me on that one, but I just don't really care for it. Also, it's my list. And again, I'm gonna be totally honest, I'm gonna probably get some hate for this one as well. I also never really cared for the Season 4 poster. I mean, it is okay, but also, it's just nowhere near as good as these ones, to be honest with you. I just find this poster extremely weird. I mean, I like the setting in general. Obviously, all the ninjas storming the temple to be able to get Zane back. I mean, this scene just doesn't exist at all within the show itself, but that's not my problem at all because it doesn't really have to exist. But my main problem, again, comes from the fact that up front, you've got Kai fighting a cultist. I feel like there should have been either Chen or Klaus or someone else in this poster itself. The fact that up front and center is just basically a foot soldier, isn't his name Zugu? But I just don't get why he's getting the forefront, and then if you look way off in the back, you can then see Chen. I just don't really understand why someone who's basically not even really named is getting the upfront when it comes to this poster. But apart from that, it is fine. Like, the ninja are all there, which is nice. Again, we're missing characters, but again, apparently not. We're not going to just get everyone. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with that. I just don't really care for this poster. But don't worry, because I am going to become a lot more positive from here onwards. I still have some really weird issues with some of these posters, but at the same time, I am actually kind of done for the most part with bad posters in my opinion. But let's get to Season 5. I do think it's a great poster, but I do have a very big problem with it. I would honestly have considered this poster to be perfect for the most part, because this one actually does have a lot of great stuff in it. Of course, we get to see Possessed Lloyd, which is really nice. The dragon's really cool. We got some ghost representation. We've got Kai there. We have then got Air Jitsu, Cole, and Jay specifically, which I do think is an interesting touch, but it's similar in vein to the NRG Ninja, I guess, from the Season 1 poster, so I'm not mad at it. And then way off in the background is actually Wu, which is really nice to see, and Nia. So it's actually quite good for all of those reasons, and it's just a really cool looking shot in general. But my problem is, Zane is missing from this poster. There is no Zane whatsoever in this poster, to the point where I was second guessing myself. So the fact that one of the main ninja is just straight up missing from the main season's poster is honestly just kind of crazy to see, and there is space for him on the poster. So I kind of just had to knock it for that very reason, because if a main character is missing from a poster, I just kind of find it too funny to not point out. And again, fun fact, this happens to Zane specifically again later on, but more on that. But for now, this one's great. After that then does come Skybound, and again, I really do like this poster. I mean, you could say that it has the problem I've had with other posters, but this one makes more sense. The main character, being Jay, is basically the only ninja on show. There are other ninja in this poster, which I will point out, but I do like the fact it just shows Jay against the Sky Pirates. It's quite reminiscent of the season itself, and everyone does just look really cool. It's gonna be top of great though. Honestly, the only reason I haven't put it in best is literally just down to the fact that as much as I do like it, there's just a lot of other posters I just simply prefer. I think this is honestly a really cool looking poster, but again, one really weird detail when it comes to just the ninja representation specifically I wanted to point out. In the background, you can actually see both Lloyd and Zane on Cole's dragon, and I don't know why, but that small detail is really weird to me. Again, I'm gonna get accused of nitpicking, but I just find that as a really funny detail that I just couldn't overlook. And again, none of the other ninja are actually on this poster, so you've got Cole's dragon, but no Cole. I don't know why. That is just really funny to me, and I wanted to point it out. I'm not taken away from the poster because of it, because the fact that that detail is there is just really funny to me, to the point where I will overlook it. But apart from that, I do like it, because like I said, Jay and the Sky Pirates just look really cool together, and I can't ignore that I do like this poster. After that then did come Day of the Departed, which I actually do think is a very solid poster again. I mean, spoiler alert, I do think we're at a very good era of posters, but from where my mouse is onwards, I think it gets definitively better. But more on that afterwards. But for the time being, Day of the Departed is honestly better than Season 1's. I honestly have no problems with this poster whatsoever. I really like Cole in this poster, even though he's got that weird side that we don't even see in the set, but again, I just don't really care about that. But all the villains together look absolutely fantastic, their weapons look really cool, all lit up. I do like then the ninja in the background. We do get all of the ninja, which is really nice to see, and I do think it's a very nice addition. I do also like the Temple of Air Jitsu in the background. I honestly think this poster, for the most part, was really good. And even though it is in best, implying that there's not really a problem with it, and like I said, I don't. I do have to point out the fact that there is no Samukai, and it's just a regular Skulkin, but I kind of just don't really care, because apart from that, I do think this poster is just really good. I mean, it would be a 10 out of 10 if Samukai was in there, but at the same time, I just haven't included it because of the fact that I just still really like the colors and the overall aesthetic. Also, no Moro, but again, I'm kind of just overlooking it. We do then get, though, to the Hands of Time poster, and again, this was one that really did stick out to me at the time as being one that I did really like. But again, looking back at the poster, you do find little weird inconsistencies that I just don't really understand why they existed. But again, it's still a great poster. I do like the overall colours and aesthetic of it. It kind of follows over when it comes to Day of the Departed, where it has just a really nice colour and a really nice aesthetic to it. I like Kai and Near up the front. I do like the Time Twins as well, and all the Vermilion in the background. The one thing I do find weird is the fact that they just put the slow-mo blade specifically in the Iron Doom instead of just having it in the hand of the Time Twins. I don't really get why they did that, and it would just make more sense if all four of them were in their hands. But I digress. But then also in the background, the thing that is also just a little strange to me is that you get to see the rest of the ninja fighting against the Vermilion. I mean, Zane's doing a flying kick at nothing really, but at the same time, even though Cole is in the poster, you can barely see him. He is there, I promise. He's just in the back of Destiny's Shadow. But at the same time, I just don't really get why they just didn't really want to include him properly. I don't know. Again, feels very nitpicky. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's still great though. But then we do get to the Oni trilogy posters, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. These are some of my favorite posters, even though I have particular problems with the Season 9 one. I mean, the Season 8 one is currently at the top of best. I think this poster was a really cool return to form. All the ninja are up together. I do think that's a really nice looking aesthetic, and it just feels very unified of them, which we haven't seen in a while. And then in the background is Garmadon. That is what the pilot posters should have been like. I think that is the perfect representation on what I would want from the pilot poster. And then you've got the Sons of Garmadon underneath. Although I will say, again, in similar vein to the pilot poster, there is two Zanes, which is just a little strange, but again, I'm kind of overlooking it because it's not really too prevalent like the pilot poster. And also, fun fact, there's clearly some concept art looking models in this poster itself, because if you look over at Kilo, he has the same visor that Mr. E uses, which implies to me that he was meant to have a visor originally, which is actually kind of cool to know. But yeah, apart from that, I think this poster is really cool, and I think it's honestly kind of a return to form. The Season 9 poster, like I said, is the one that I have the most problems with, but at the same time, I do think it is a really cool poster anyways. It's just, when the Season 8 and the Season 10 poster are quite similar in a lot of different ways, but also unique at the same time, it does just make this one feel like a little more of an outlier, but it's still at the top of great for me. I do like the overall aesthetic when it does come to this poster. I do like the Diesel Naut and the Firstborn Dragon is again represented, and I do like the battle that is ongoing. All the ninja are also there having their time in the sun, which is really nice. apart from Zane. Again, in similar vein to Season 5, we have found that there is no Zane in the Season 9 poster, and you could argue there's technically a lot missing from this poster, because none of the other side of the Ninjago stuff is going on in the poster, like Lloyd, Garmadon, or Nia, but at the same time, Zane should be in this poster, and in similar vein to Season 5, there was plenty of room for him, so I just don't really understand why he's missing once again. I mean, he was in the Season 8 poster twice, but that doesn't really make up for it. But it is still great nonetheless, it's just it's weird that Zane got missing twice. And then rounding off the Oni trilogy is, of course, March of the Oni, and I'm clearly more of a fan of Season 10 than most, I find. I really do like those episodes that we got, and more specifically, just the season in general. And when it comes to the poster, spoiler alert, it's my favourite Ninjago poster. I think, without fail, this is possibly the best poster we've gotten. I think all the ninja there stood together, all posed up ready for a battle is really cool looking. This was also a proper return to the more CG in-show models when it comes to the posters, which I do think is a really nice detail as well. I just like how everything is posed up. And I know at one point they even gave us this image without it saying Ninjago March of the Oni, and when I had a vertical monitor, this is actually what I had as the background. I think this poster is absolutely fantastic for so many different reasons. I mean, you could always nitpick it like I have before now, like Kai having the only one being with elemental power, but at the same time, I just think this one is so cool. I think it's just really nice for all different reasons, so it's my favorite. But this is actually where we start getting into the Wildbrain era when it comes to posters, and I'm gonna be honest, if there's one thing that Wildbrain could do, it was make posters. I don't think there's a single one here that I would necessarily consider bad. I mean, starting off with the Season 11 poster, I honestly think this was a really good beginning when it came to Ninjago posters. Again, even though I wouldn't put it necessarily above many of these, I'm still gonna put it in great. I do love the duality of this poster, representing both the fire and the ice chapter was honestly really cool, and technically again 2 Zanes, but at the same time, representing the Ice Emperor and Zane I do think is a really nice touch. Honestly, this is what the Season 9 poster could have been, but they never in the end. But honestly, I really like the overall aesthetic. I think the color clashes quite nicely. I like the overlap of the Scroll of Forbidden Spinjitzu, showing that it plays into both halves of the story. I honestly think this poster is really nice. I don't really have any problems when it comes to it, especially considering it's a Season 11 poster. The Season 12 poster, or the Prime Empire poster, is probably my least favourite when it comes to Ninjago posters from this era, but it doesn't exactly mean it's bad by any account. I love the colours, I love the aesthetic. The only thing I kind of wish is that all the ninja were in their digi suits instead of some of them being in their avatar suits. It's gonna be in good. I do really appreciate the colours, I do appreciate the overall aesthetic, and I do think it's a really cool looking poster. It's intriguing, I think is the best way of putting it, but at the same time, it doesn't really give us too much in the way of what the season was going to be. I mean, it tells us of course they're going to be in a video game, but that is kind of it. Most of the other posters at least give us at least a little bit of something else, and like I said, I just wish the ninja were a little more consistent, and hey, no Zane again, but at least this one makes a little more sense. But yeah, it's a good poster, it's just not really one that I clicked with too well. The Master of the Mountain poster honestly is a really cool one. It feels like almost a concept for what later became the Crystallized poster, but I have to say, I do actually think this one is quite cool for a lot of reasons. I'm going to put it in great, probably about here. I do appreciate the overall look when it does come to it. I do like seeing all the ninja together. They do look quite cool in that regard. We do get to see the Reawakens, we get to see the Upley, the Skull Sorcerers there. It does have everything when it does come to this season. I do also like the more stylized finish when it does come to all the ninja as well, but I have seen a couple people not be the biggest fan of it, but I have to say, I do think I can appreciate the aesthetic overall. Like I said, as much as I think this is a great poster, it does just feel like a prelude to what eventually became the Crystallized poster, and whether I prefer the Crystallized poster is yet to be seen, because at least this one doesn't have any weird issues with it, so that's why it's going to be in great. The island poster will forever be funny to me because I remember a lot of people thinking it was AI generated because of the finish it had, but I never really stood by that, but at the same time I do understand why people came to that conclusion. But I'm going to be honest, it's probably just another good poster to me. I think conceptually speaking, it is quite cool. We get to see all the ninja together, all huddling around this big monolith, this big totem, and it does seem to be that they're all quite concerned. I mean, apart from Zane, but he is an android. But I have to say, as much as this is a very cool looking poster, and I can appreciate the colors and the overall aesthetic, I just don't really think there's much memorable about the poster. It's just quite standard, which is not a bad thing, that's why it's in good. It's just it doesn't have anything that makes it stand out to me. In similar vein to that, we do then get the Seabound poster, which I know a lot of people do like, and I do think it is really good as well, but I will say, it's only just another good one for me. I do think it is a really cool looking poster. I do like the duology, having Kalmar upside down as a reflection on the whole situation as a whole. I do think it is quite nice. But at the same time, I do also find myself just not really thinking too much about this poster. I mean, I do like the ninja all there, but at the same time, it does just look a little weird. I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about this poster. There's so many times where I'll look at it and I'll have a different opinion on it. And I'll also say the ninja side of it is just a little more bland. Because like I said, the ninja are just kind of floating up as they go to fight something. So it's just a really weird one. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's just in similar vein, just kind of just there. But like I said, that does then bring us to the crystallized poster, which is very much, like I said, kind of the successor to the Master of the Mountain poster, which I can appreciate for that reason. But it is very end game kind of feeling when it comes to it. I mean, down to the colors. I will say, I do prefer it to the Master of the Mountain poster. I probably only put it about here. Like I said, this one has a really weird issue that I can never unsee when I actually do look at this poster, because every single ninja is basically in a different outfit. If you take a look, Jay is in the Season 11 outfit, which is fine, I guess, but it doesn't really fit in, because then you have Kai, who's in his fugitive outfit, and he has his mask on, which, okay, fair enough, but they're already conflicting, and then you have Cole, who's also in the fugitive outfit, but without the mask. So again, it's the same as Kai, but in a different state. And then you get to Zane, who's also in the Season 11 outfit, which, fine, I guess. But I think he's missing his shoulder pads, and he also has this really weird detail on his arm that I've never seen before on that version of the Season 11 suit. So there is that. And then you get to Lloyd, that's in the gold variant of the crystallized outfit. Okay, I guess, like, he's again just in a different outfit to everyone else. And then you've got Nia off to the right, who's also in her season, like, ending outfit, but also they're obscuring her face because they didn't want to show that she was being revealed. But again, Pixel's on there. It's a really weird poster. I really don't know how I feel about this poster. It's just cool, though. But at least the header goes away because Dragon's Rising is quite consistent again in its posters. I mean, I know a lot of people do like all of these for different reasons. I mean, the main poster for Season 1 I do think is quite nice, but I do think there are better ones for Season 1, but this is the main one. It's going to be another great. I'd probably put it here. This poster does what it set out to do. I do like seeing Lloyd, Sora, and Aaron all there, and you also do have Ryu. I mean, I do then like seeing all the different villains in the background. It's just a fairly equal poster. Again, the colors are really nice. It shows off all the different powers, all the different skills, and I just think it's a very solid poster. I just never really had much to say about this one. The Season 2 poster is probably my least favorite of the bunch, but that's not for a particular reason. I mean, I still am going to put it by here, but it does just fall a bit short in comparison to the Season 1 poster. For me, the poster seems almost a little cramped. It feels like there should have been a little more when it comes down to it. I mean, we get to see Raz, which is nice. I mean, Cinder is more at the forefront than Raz, which I do think is a little strange. But of course, he is demonstrating Shatter Spin, which they wanted to advertise for this season. I mean, I like Lloyd to stack. I do like Aaron and Sora's idea as well, and Ryu is really cool to see in his more big state. I just also kind of wish there was a little more when it came to it, but I honestly do think this one's really cool because it at least gives us the Blood Moon and it shows the Shadow Dojo as well. But then last but certainly not least then is the Season 3 poster, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, I kind of think this is one of the best posters we've gotten in a very long time. I really like what they actually did with this poster. I mean, the ninja is set in the first land, which is really nice. You've got Lloyd, Sora, and Aaron all with their respective prismatic blade, which is also very cool to see. The Forbidden Five in the background I think are absolutely brilliant looking, and then Thunderfang as the overall background, which is very similar to the Great Devourer from the Season 1 poster. So I have to say, I really do like this one. I think the use of red is great. I think the use of all the characters is great. The only thing I find funny is that if you look at the bottom of the poster, you can just see Aaron's feet underneath the Dragon's Rising logo, which I think is really funny, but at the same time, I just think this poster doesn't really have any way in the way of issues. But that is my overall list of all the main Ninjago posters. I think honestly, it's very top heavy like I usually am when it comes to these things, but I do expect a little bit of kickback, especially for where I put the Season 4 poster. But like I said, I just don't really care for it and where it honestly has everyone placed. But again, I would love to know what you think. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with my list? Is there anything in particular that you think I'm outright wrong on? And like I said, this link for the tier list is in the description down below. So if you do want to do the list for yourself, you can send it on over to me and I would love to have a look on what you think. But overall, I do think Ninjago posters are really good. It's just I have a couple nitpicks with them, but I don't think any of them are particularly bad. It's just sometimes I just question the design decisions when it comes to them. But again, if you do outright disagree with my stance on it, please let me know. That is the joy of an opinion. All I ask is that you do keep it civil. But that is about it for today, you guys. Thank you very much for watching and take care. Okay, bye!